many of my heroes have been kind of closer mentors. I mean, I certainly have some heroes that are kind of out there, big names, authors, things of that nature. But, certainly my current boss, Shonda Smith Baker, has been somebody that has, invested a lot of personal time in my growth and professional development in a fairly authentic way. There's another gentleman named Jaime Martinez who works for Clearway, Minnesota. He does community development and organizing. And, really, I think for me, taught me the biggest lesson that every day is an opportunity. That is one of his big things that he says. And, it's very true. I think oftentimes we can get bogged down into what our life situation looks like, what is going on over a period of time. But really, working with him allowed me to see each day for an individual day. Every day you wake up, you can do something very different with that day. You might have had a terrible day the previous day, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're destined to have a terrible day in this day as well. I have one staff person who he talks about. I think there's 86,400 seconds in a day. Does that sound about right? And so he does this thing of everybody gets the same 86,400 seconds in a day. You might spend 20,000 of those seconds in a productive way, and then you waste the rest of it. So this idea that we all get the same amount of time, and it's really based on how you manage that time and what you do with it. I think if I think about, higher level individuals, as I was growing up, I read a lot of books from, kind of the greats, like Gandhi, Martin Luther King Jr., John Maxwell, like I mentioned. John Shelby Spong was actually an interesting read. As I was growing up, he wrote a lot about kind of a changing dynamic in Christianity and how, Christianity needs to, he had a book called Christianity Must Change or Die. And so this idea that you need to move away from dogma, rigid structures, and get more to kind of the spirit and essence of things. And that, I think, really goes even beyond Christianity or religious pieces. I think about, what that means for the legal system and how we look at laws. People think that, it's just about this legal structure, but I think if you follow that train too far, you get very off track, because then you get to kind of the letter of the law, how things are actually working, and you have to have fidelity to this, versus looking back at the original spirit of the law and saying, well, what was the real purpose for this? And is it having the effects that we intended for this to have? And if it's not having those effects, then you need to revisit that, and then you need to change it. And we're not able to do that right now because our political system works so slowly, and it's designed in a way to create really firmly rooted dichotomization. It makes me think about how corporate competitors function. So if you have two main competitors, so you can think about like a Walmart or a Target or Burger King and a McDonald's, what happens, if you, this is an MBA lesson too, if you have these two key competitors, they're naturally going to gravitate towards creating the same product. That's why McDonald's and Burger King are not that different. You essentially move towards one another to offer the same thing, but you have to make a choice of which one you want. And I think that it happens with the political system. Democrats and Republicans really don't look that much different, but we're so convinced that we're so vastly different that we can't agree on anything, and we can't come to any sort of compromise. And so I think we need to get back to what that spirit of those laws or the legal system or what our humanity is, to be able to kind of break out of that.